So the first test that we do on cement is called as normal consistency test, or sometimes it is also called as standard consistency test. Okay, and the apparatus or equipment that we use to perform this test is called a Vickett's apparatus, VICAT apostrophe S, Vickett's apparatus, and that is shown in this figure here. Okay, and this figure, this apparatus basically has an attachment to sort of attach a needle at this bottom here. Okay, and this penetrating needle can be of 3 types. Okay, the 3 types needles are here. This is one. Okay, the first needle, second needle, third needle. So, like I told you that we use the same equipment for different purposes. The first needle on top that you see, okay, this needle with a larger diameter is the needle that we use to perform the normal consistency or the standard consistency test. The other 2 needles is to perform the initial setting time and final setting time. Okay, these 2, the smaller 2 we'll deal with in a little while. For now, we'll deal with only the larger one, this one. Okay, so this thing has a diameter of 10 mm. Okay, so this is 10 mm. So what we basically do is, I think I'll just turn on my camera 1 second. I have the apparatus here. Can you guys see what's happening on the camera? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, I can't see what is happening because the screen is like that. Can you guys see the apparatus now?
Yes, sir.
The entire thing? Wait, let me see if there is a way I can see my own screen. Yeah, now? Hello? Hello?
The below part
Not visible.
So only the middle part is visible.
So the complete part is not visible.
Now? Still not visible.
So the bottom part is not visible.
The bottom part, sir.
Bottom part now?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Okay, unfortunately the table is too small. I'll try and explain. So this thing basically has 3 parts. Okay, so this thing that you can see is called a plunger. So this plunger can actually move. Okay, so this plunger can move, and you can lock it into whatever position you want. Okay, and this plunger has an attachment at the bottom where you can attach needles. This needle. So you can attach 3 types of needles, this, or this. And like I told you, we'll be using the fat needle, which has a 10 mm diameter, to perform the normal consistency test. So what we do is at the bottom end, we fix the needle, okay? And then you see this frustum of a cone that is there. We fill a cement paste into this, okay? Once we fill the cement paste, we mount this frustum of a cone on top of a glass plate, okay, and place it here. Place it underneath the needle. Now you'll have to do a few calibration tests. What a calibration test is, when the bottom of this needle touches the top of the frustum of the cone, it should read 40 here. Okay, it should read 40 here in the sense the depth of this frustum of the cone is 40. So any measurement that I make is 40 mm from top. Okay, next what you do, you bring it back up, lock this, okay, move it such that the cement paste sample that is there is exactly underneath the needle. And then if you see here, there is another additional hydraulic system that is provided here. Okay, the reason this is provided is, I'll just show you with the help of this. In case this hydraulic thing is not there, okay, so imagine when I drop this thing, it is going down slowly, okay, because this hydraulic system that is there, it will ensure that this plunger goes down with the help of gravity, but slowly. Okay, but if you guys lift only the plunger and drop it, see what happens. So you want the plunger to penetrate the cement paste, not because of inertia that it is acquiring due to its sudden drop, but only to descend because of its self weight. So when I drop it slowly, it goes down slowly. Understood? So this using this hydraulic system is very, very important. Just keep this in mind. So what are the three key things? The plunger, okay, the hydraulic setup, and this frustum of the cone where you fill the cement paste. Okay, I think the rest I can explain with the help of the figure here. Okay, so if you look at this figure here, so same logic again. The depth of this frustum of the cone was 40 mm. The reading, whatever you measure, is from top. The three needles in this needle that you can see. Okay, this needle that you can see is for normal consistency. Okay, 10 mm dia. You attach it here and then drop it. Now your question should be, sir, what cement paste should be there? So in normal consistency, what does consistency mean? Anyone? Where have you come across the term consistency?
So patting.
Correct. What about it? What are the different types of consistencies that you can think of? So it can either be too harsh or too much like a paste, okay, or it can be too runny like water. Okay, again I keep giving example between you say a normal dosa batter and your neer dosa batter. Okay, neer dosa is very watery, meaning there's too much water to less rice paste or whatever. Whereas a normal dosa batter is actually a little harsher consistency. So think of cement like dosa batter for now. Okay, so normal consistency, the technical definition of it says the percentage of water at which, when it is mixed with cement, it provides the penetration of 5 to 7 mm from the bottom. Okay, what does 5 to 7 mm from the bottom mean? This entire thing is 40 mm deep. Okay, this entire thing is 40 mm deep. When I use this needle, okay, and penetrate that cement paste, it should come to rest at a distance of how much from the bottom? 5 to 7 mm from the bottom. Okay, this distance should be between 5 to 7 mm. So that percentage of water at which, when you mix with the cement paste, pour it into this compacted, place it there, and use this needle, you get a 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. At that percentage of moisture content, it is said to be at standard consistency or normal consistency. Understood? So the way we do this experiment is, we start with say 28% water. Okay, if I've taken 400 grams of cement, take 28% by weight of 400. Okay, measure the water in grams, ml, whatever. Take that water, mix it with cement, make a paste, fill it into this frustum of a cone, place it here, change the needle, drop it. Okay, check what the penetration is. For 28%, you might not get 5 to 7 mm penetration. Then what you do, increase the percentage of water. From 28, go to 29. Okay. When I say from 28, go to 29, don't simply add 1% extra water to whatever you had done for 28. Okay, because there's something called as gauging time. So as soon as you mix water with cement, it starts hydrating. So by the time you finishing one trial, it would have easily elapsed 5 to 7 minutes. By then it would have started to set. Okay, so you discard that sample entirely, take 400 grams of new cement again, and to that add 29% by weight of water. Make paste again. Check how much is the depth of penetration from the bottom. See if it is between 5 to 7. If it is between 5 to 7, well and good. You report that the normal consistency for the given sample of cement is 29%. If it is not, discard that sample again. Okay, take 400 grams of new cement. Take 30% water, make paste. Similarly, keep repeating the process until you reach 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. Okay, so that is your standard consistency. So you can ask me, sir, this definition is fine, but how is it, practically significant? So most of the later tests that we do, okay, be it initial and final setting time or strength test on concrete, the percentage of water that you measure and add to your cement or mortar mix is all a function of normal consistency. Without doing normal consistency test, you cannot do any of the further tests. Okay, just keep this in your mind. So it is one of the basic tests. As soon as you get your cement sample, literally the first test that you do is your normal consistency test. Has everyone understood the procedure? I mean, I think you'll become more thorough when you actually perform it. So now it is fairly simple. Just remember, when you're dropping the plunger, it has to be dropped with the hydraulic setup. Without it, you will never get 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. It will always go hit the bottom because it will fall through a lot of inertia. Okay. Now, the next definition I make will be very similar. Okay. But what you are measuring there is different. Okay. So if everyone is clear with normal consistency, can we go to initial setting time? Any doubts with respect to normal consistency test? Hello?
Everything's clear.
Okay. So if I've already defined two terms called as initial setting time and final setting time. Do you guys remember what the definitions were? Initial setting time is when?
30 minutes.
That is the number, but what is the definition I told you? It is when the cement paste, no one remembers, it is when the cement paste just starts to lose its plasticity. Okay, and final setting time is when it is completely lost its plasticity. And I also told you what plasticity is. Let me not get into all that again. So here you can see two more needles. Okay, one with a thin needle like this, and the other with a needle with an annular ring arrangement. Okay, so this is for initial setting time. This is for final setting time. Okay, the cross section of this initial setting time needle is actually a circular cross section whose area is 1 mm square. Okay, if area is 1 mm square, find out what the diameter is and tell me in the next class. Pi d square by 4 is equal to 1 mm square. How much is d? That will be the diameter of this needle. Okay, so what we do is do the same thing again. Make a paste of cement, place it into the frustum of a cone, remove that big fat needle, attach this smaller initial setting time needle. Here what we do, instead of measuring the percentage of moisture at which we get 5 to 7 mm penetration, we measure the time at which we get 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. Okay, so what you do, as soon as you take your cement powder and water, the minute the first drop of water touches cement, okay, start your stopwatch. It starts recording time. Okay, and then you mix your cement paste, fill it into this frustum of a cone, place it there, and start taking readings. So at say 2 minutes when you finish mixing and start taking the reading, at 2 minutes when you drop the plunger, you'll get 0 mm penetration from the bottom, meaning your needle is completely penetrated and reached the bottom. Okay, take the next reading at 5 minutes, take the next reading at 10 minutes, similarly keep taking readings at every 5 minutes interval. Okay, so at say somewhere around 20-25 minutes, you might get 1 to 2 mm penetration from the bottom, meaning it has started to lose its plasticity. It is not letting you penetrate as much as it did initially. So at some point of time, okay, normally it says the initial setting time should not be less than 30 minutes. So at some point after 30 minutes, you will reach a point of time where it will show you 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. Okay, record stop your stop clock at that point, and whatever is the reading on your clock at that point is your initial setting time. Okay, I see a lot of people getting confused between normal consistency and initial setting time, because that number is same. What is that? 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom is same. Okay, but what we're trying to measure and the agenda of the experiment is completely different. In normal consistency, we're trying to measure the percentage of water at which we get 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. Whereas in initial setting time, we are measuring the time, okay, recorded at which it allows 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. So there it is percentage moisture, here it is time. And remember, your initial setting time should never be less than 30 minutes. Okay, as per IS 4031. Just remember this, not less than 30 minutes. Okay, now you ask me what is final setting time. So for final setting time, you don't need to mix another different sample. Okay, replace this initial setting time needle with final setting time needle. So this has an annular ring arrangement. Annular ring meaning there are concentric circles like this. Okay, there is one dot in middle, a circle around it, and a bigger circle around it at this head of this needle that you see. So if you use this needle and drop it on the cement paste, you can see that this mark is imprinted on the cement paste. Okay, meaning it's still in the plastic state. It is capable of deforming, and since it is deforming, this shape is imprinted on that cement paste top surface. Okay, so you keep doing this test, say once in every half an hour. So at some point, it will reach a stage where this, this needle will stop to or fail to make an impression on top of the cement paste. Okay, at that point, you record the time. The time at which this annular ring arrangement fails to make an impression on top of the cement paste, that is when your cement paste is said to have reached final setting time. Understood? So initial setting time, thin needle, 1 mm circular diameter cross section, 5 to 7 mm penetration from the bottom. Final setting time, annular ring arrangement fails to leave an impression on the top surface of the cement. Difference. Okay, and your final setting time should not be more than 10 hours. So initial setting time should not be less than 30 minutes. Your final setting time should not be more than 10 hours, or they say 600 minutes, which is the same. Understood? The 3 different tests that we do using the same equipment. Anyone? Hello? Okay, thank you Vivek for replying. It's very endearing to see students actually reply when you ask questions. Okay, going to the next test. It is called as soundness test. Okay, what does soundness mean? Anyone? When we say things like a sound mind and a sound body, what does sound there mean? Anyone? No one?
In good condition.
Correct. In good condition or good health. Okay. And in cement, what does good health or good condition of cement mean? Meaning when you mix water with it, it should hydrate properly, it should give the necessary strength. So how do we measure this? So for that, we do something called as soundness test. Here we try to measure, not exactly quantify also, try to see if there is any unburnt lime in your cement sample. If there is unburnt lime or magnesia in your cement sample, what happens is, once it hydrates, it expands, the volume increases. And you don't want the volume of concrete to increase once it is hardened, because you have a definite amount of space, volume or formwork that is there. And if you've poured concrete into it, you simply want to want the concrete inside to set and harden. You don't want it to expand and come out of the formwork, because it will be disruptive. Okay, so to measure this, this scientist called Lee Chatelier developed this apparatus. So this thing that you can see at the bottom, this is called a Lee Chatelier's apparatus. So what we do in this is, we make a cement paste again. Into the cylindrical container, we fill it with that cement paste. Okay, we put a glass plate at the bottom of the this cylinder and on top, and the rest is stone. This stone that you can see, we put this stone on top, tie it, and put this entire setup into water for 24 hours. Okay, so what do we do? Take the cylinder, fill cement paste, glass plate on top, glass plate on bottom, stone on top, tie everything together, put it in regular water at standard room temperature for 24 hours. Okay, after 24 hours, take it out of water and measure the distance between these 2 tongs. Can you see these 2 tongs that are there? One arm and the left arm and the right arm of this Lee Chatelier's apparatus. measure the distance between them. Okay, record the distance between these two tongs as L1. Okay, next what you do, take the entire setup, put it inside boiling water for 3 hours. Okay, so this entire setup, after putting it in regular water for 24 hours, put it in boiling water for 3 hours. Okay, after 3 hours, take it out, measure the distance between these two same left tongue and right tongue again. Okay, and call it L2. So now you have two distances, L1 at the end of 24 hours in regular water, L2 at the end of 3 hours in hot water plus 24 hours in regular water. Now this difference between L2 minus L1, when I find out, if it is more than 10 mm, okay, it means that your cement is unsound, meaning it is not of good quality. It has a lot of unburnt lime in it. Okay, so what happens when you put it at high temperature is, at high temperature, all this unburnt lime that is there will hydrate, and it will form more hydration products, and the volume will tend to increase. So if you notice this Le-Chatelier apparatus, there is actually a slit here. There is an opening here. So it basically works like a forceps you can think of. So once you put something that has an increasing volume, this thing will spread apart, and the distance between these two ends of the tongs will further increase. Okay, so this is a test through which we can find out the soundness of cement. And I can safely say, I think the past 5-6 years, literally any cement sample we've taken, no matter how cheap it has always turned out to be a good sample of cement. Okay, meaning the quality of production of cement these days is of a good quality, so you don't really find any unsoundness written anymore. So for that reason, we've actually removed soundness test from your laboratory manual. Okay, it is not one of the experiments that you'll actually perform in the lab, but it is important that you guys know what this test is. Okay, in case anyone asks. And for theory, it is definitely there. Okay, write and explain the procedure to perform soundness test on cement. Okay, as per codal provisions, just explain whatever I told you. Le-Chatelier's apparatus, cylindrical container, specimen, fill cement paste, glass plate, stone, regular water 24 hours, hot water, boiling water for 3 hours, measure distances at 2 instants, L2 minus L1 should always be less than 10 mm. Okay, so moving on to the next test, we do something called as a strength test. Okay, or I'll finish specific gravity and I'll come back. So does anyone know what specific gravity is? I think you must have done this somewhere else also. What is
Relative density.
Someone said something?
Relative density.
Correct. So relative density is when you measure the density of a particular material with respect to density of another material. Okay. But in specific gravity test, to be more specific, that other material in the denominator will always be water. Okay. So you can sort of modify the definition of specific gravity as specific gravity is the relative density of any material with respect to density of water. Okay. But at this stage, we'll make a more scientific definition. Write this down if you want. So specific gravity is the weight of a particular material divided by weight occupied by an equivalent volume of water. Okay, if you basically sit down and think about it, both the definitions are exactly identical. So density is what? Weight by volume, weight by volume. So relative density is what? Weight by volume of one material divided by weight by volume of another material. Volume being same, cancel out volume. You have weight of one material by weight of another material. But this, provided the volume being same, is a key additional fact here. Okay, and in fact we use the definition that I just quoted to find out the specific gravity of material. So for cement, the procedure is slightly more complicated. So why is it complicated? Can I directly measure specific gravity of cement with respect to water? No. Why? Because I already told you, as soon as the first drop of water touches the first particle of cement, your hydration starts. By the time you finish performing your experiment, hydration would have occurred, initial setting time would have started. You can't really take out your cement sample from the Le-Chatelier, I mean this specific gravity bottle or Le-Chatelier's flask, we call it. You can't take it out. So you basically have to discard this bottle every time. So to take care of this problem of cement reacting with water, what we do is we find out specific gravity of cement with respect to kerosene. Okay, and then what we do, we find out specific gravity of kerosene with respect to water. So in the first case, you have specific gravity of relative. Think of it in terms of relative density. You have density of cement divided by density of kerosene into density of kerosene divided by density of water. So in one place, your kerosene is in the denominator, in the other place, it is in the numerator. So when you multiply, they get cancelled with each other, and you effectively get density of cement with respect to water. So unlike other materials where we can directly do the test for specific gravity, say you can do it for coarse aggregates, fine aggregates, I advise you go through your lab manual, it is all there in that. So for coarse aggregate and fine aggregate, when we do it directly with respect to water, because there is no concept of hydration or it becoming setting and hardening and whatever. Whereas with respect to cement, we break it into two processes: cement with respect to kerosene, kerosene with respect to water. Multiply them with each other, you get cement with respect to water. Just keep this in mind. The mathematics of this, the equation is on the screen. Make a note of this, or you can refer to whatever is there in a lab manual. Okay. Coming to the last test for cement, it is called as strength test. Okay. So in strength test, since the very first class I've been telling you, nowhere in civil engineering application do we use cement by itself. Cement is always mixed with sand to make mortar, or it is always mixed with sand plus aggregates to make concrete, and concrete is used for structural purposes. Okay, you never make a space entirely out of cement and use it for anything. So this test is similar. Although we call it strength test of cement, what we are actually testing is a mortar cube. Okay, so when I say mortar cube, you guys know what mortar is. Mortar is what? Cement plus sand. Here it needs to be a specific kind of mortar. What do I mean by specific kind of mortar? So to do any strength test in concrete technology lab, we need to cast something called as cubes. Okay, in this case also we cast a cube, which is 70.6 mm by 70.6 mm by 70.6 mm. So it is basically a cube with an edge size of 70.6 mm. What do you do? To make one cube of this sample for this test, we need 800 grams of dry material. Okay, so 800 grams of dry materials, if I have to divide in the ratio 1:3, okay, for proportion of cement is to sand, it is basically 200, 200, 200, 200, correct? So in this 200, I take 200 grams of cement. So out of 800, 200 grams of cement is done. The rest 600 grams that I have is going to be sand. Okay, so this sand cannot be any sand that you get from anywhere. Okay, it is not mentioned in the slide. You can write this down. So the standard sand, whatever I've mentioned here, this standard sand, okay, it is available only in one place in the entire country. It is a place called Ennore, E-N-N-O-R-E, Ennore sand. Okay, it is a sand that is available near Chennai. To be more specific, it is a town near Mahabalipuram. Okay, and if you're doing this test anywhere in India, you have to buy standard sand from Ennore only and use that sand to perform this test. Okay, so why specifically Ennore sand? One, the clay and silt content of Ennore sand is negligible. It does not have anything. It is completely sand. Okay, next, this standard sand again has three ranges. Okay, you have grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. And these grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 are basically three different types of particle sizes. Okay, 900 mm, 1 mm and 2 mm. So you take these sands of three different proportions, you mix them with cement paste that is 200 grams. So 200 gram of grade 1, 200 gram of grade 2, 200 gram of grade 3, okay, plus 200 grams of cement. You get 800 grams of dry materials. To this, add P by 4 plus 3% of your combined weight of this entire material, which is 800 gram, by mass of water. So what is P here? P is, like I told you in the previous slide, your standard consistency. It becomes important. So first you find out standard consistency, then come here. So say you've got standard consistency as 30%. Okay, so 30 divided by 4 is how much? 7.5. So 7.5 plus 3, 10.5%. Okay, so 10.5% by weight of this entire thing, combined cement plus sand. In your case, it is 800 grams. Take 10.5% of 800 grams water, add this to this dry mixture that you just made, or in that ratio 1:3, whatever you made, mix it, okay, and then we use this machine that you see on the screen. Okay, this is a small vibrating table. So what we do is this square thing that you can see on top is actually a funnel. Underneath this funnel, we place a cubical mold. Okay, we place the mold here. We start pouring our mortar on top here, and this is a vibrating table. If you can see the spring here and the motor here. So this motor basically vibrates this entire table about the spring, and this mortar that we fill gets filled into the mold, and this entire compaction process should happen in less than 2 minutes. Okay, so 3 minutes for mixing, 2 minutes for placing. The entire process should get over within 5 minutes. So once you've poured this mortar into it and the cube is compacted, take it out, place the cube aside for 1 day. Okay, after 1 day you can demold it. Okay, once you demold it, it would have set. So at the end of 1 day, you take the sample of cement mortar cube that you've just cast and put it inside water. Okay, put it inside water for 28 days. And I told you why the number 28 is important, because we assume that 99 point dash percentage of hydration is completed after 28 days. So 1 day in air. Once it is set, remove the mold, take out the cube sample, put it inside water for 28 days. At the end of 28 days, take this cube, put it under a compression testing machine, apply load, okay, and measure the strength. Strength is load per unit area. So the point at which this cube breaks is called the breaking load or the breaking point. At that point, whatever is your P, okay, divided by area, will give you your strength. We'll call it sigma. Okay, so this strength is load by area. So peak load, the load at which your cement mortar specimen breaks, divided by area. Area is what? I told you the edge is 70.6 mm. So the area is going to be 70.6 into 70.6. Okay, so whatever strength you get is going to be your grade of cement. So I told you in the very first class, when we're talking about grades of cement, there are 3 kinds: 33, 43, and then 53. Correct? So I told you OPC 33, OPC 43, OPC 53. So 33 is, redundant. No one makes 33 anymore. So these numbers 43 and 53 is basically the strength that you get here. Meaning, if I take an OPC grade 53 cement, okay, 200 grams of OPC grade 53 cement, 200 grams of grade 1 Ennore sand, 200 grams of grade 2 Ennore sand, 200 grams of grade 3 Ennore sand, mix this P by 4 plus 3% of water, okay, cast a cube properly, effectively compact it, dry cure it in air for 24 hours, put it in water for 28 days, take it out, test it, and there, whatever load I get, that load by area when I calculate, I should get 53 MPa here. Okay, so 1 MPa you can also indicate as 1 Newton per mm square. So at the end of 28 days, if I take an OPC grade 53 sample and do this entire test, I should get this strength of 53 MPa. So that is the significance of this number. Okay, so similarly, if I took OPC grade 43 at the end of 28 days, instead of 53, I should get 43 MPa. Understood this test and what that number of 33, 43, 53 indicated?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
I am sure there will be a lot of confusion as to how to do the test, which will only get cleared once you come to the college and actually do the experiment. For now, just understand this much: standard sand, Ennore, okay, 3 grades, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, equal proportions. Okay, now let me ask you a question. This proportioning that we do, 1:3, 1% by part of cement and 3% by weight of grades What type of grading is this? I told you 2 types of grading, remember? What are 2 types of grading? I showed you an S-shaped curve and I told you 2 types of grading. Anyone? There's something called as well graded. There's something called as uniformly graded. Is this well graded or is it uniformly graded?
Uniform.
Correct. It is uniformly graded because each weight I'm taking in equal proportion. Whereas in well graded, equal proportion is not my funda or not my criteria. In well graded, effective density and least percentage voids is a criteria. Here that is not the case. Here I just want equal representation from each grade of sand. Okay. And if you ask me why all this is done, it is a standard. Okay. So anywhere in India you go, you right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, this is the standard procedure that is followed to measure the strength of cement. So standardization becomes important. Asking why we have to do this experiment is equivalent to asking things like why is 1 kg 1 kg, how is 1 meter 1 meter. So somewhere few years ago, few centuries ago, there is a set of people who have sat down and decided 1 kg is going to weigh this much, 1 meter meaning should measure this much in length. Similarly, our forefathers who developed all these Indian standard codes sat down and decided this is how we'll measure the strength of cement, and that is why you are simply following. These are all standard practices. Okay, you cannot deviate from the procedure that is mentioned in the Indian standard codes. We have to stick it to the T. You cannot use any other sand other than Ennore sand. This test will not be valid. Okay, so that is all. Okay, with that I think we conclude all the. I think this we've already done. Okay, this I've explained already. I think bulk. Did I also explain what bulking is? The apparent increase in the volume of sand when you add water to it. Did I do it?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
So I think the last thing is here. If you see the bottom part of the thing, it's like we use that density bottle or the Lee Chatelier flask to find out the specific gravity of cement. We use this bottle. This is called a pycnometer. Okay, so we use pycnometer to find out the specific gravity of sand. So why do we not use density bottle? Because density bottle is too small. Okay, and if you try filling sand into it, it will get clogged and it is a lot of problem. So we use pycnometer for sand, density bottle for cement, and when we come to coarse aggregate, we do something completely different. Okay, we'll teach you when you come to lab here, because it's difficult to explain what we do with the help of a PPT. We sort of use Archimedes principle. So an application of Archimedes principle. So see, when you're standing on land, you feel heavier than you feel when you feel inside water, correct? So suppose I feel whatever I weigh, I have a mass that weighs say 70 kgs on land. If I have to hold it underwater, it is going to be easier for me to hold it underwater, correct? Because the water is applying certain amount of pressure, force, whatever, and it is helping me lift it. So we'll sort of use that logic to find out the specific gravity of coarse aggregate. Okay, so now if you want to look at the procedure, it is there in the manual. Go through it. We use a wire mesh bucket method. Okay, with that we conclude unit 1. So tomorrow we can start unit 2.